So this is AAM's workshop entitled Beating Social Media Algorithms for Animal Rights Activists. Social media is a finicky thing. Stringent algorithm rules can block activists from being able to speak online on behalf of the animals. Regardless, social media is an important tool for our activism, so activists must find ways to reach consumers and influence their purchases and decisions, as well as reach companies and apply pressure on them. And that's what our speaker is going to explain tonight. My name is Michelle Granberg, and I'm your moderator. I'm a mentor and team member with Animal Activism Mentorship. I'm located in New Jersey, and I've been a vegan activist for over 5 years. AAM's mission is to eradicate violence and build a culture of empathy and compassion, which ultimately results in animal liberation. We strive to build a global community of activists through our free online program that pairs experienced activists with aspiring activists. Through one-on-one mentoring, we strive to generate an increased number of effective activists worldwide, and we all know that this movement needs more people, more activists. Additionally, we offer free workshops that train and educate our mentors, mentees, and the public on various aspects of animal rights activism. If you're interested in becoming a mentor or a mentee or want to get more involved, please visit our website, animalactivismmentorship.com, and follow both AAM and FARM, or Fueled by FARM, Farm Animal Rights Movement. Follow us on social media. Okay, so without further ado, I would like to introduce our speaker. Ina Maria is an AAM mentor, vegan, and activist who has been involved in street activism, outreach, and successful pressure campaigns. She is a business owner who helps nonprofits and small companies manage their social media effectively. So we will have Q&A after Ina's presentation, so hang on till then with your questions, or you're welcome to put them in the chat as we go. I'll make a note of them, make sure we get those answered as well. All right, Ina, take it away.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. First of all, thank you to AAM for doing this. This is amazing. It's great to have people connecting from all over the world. We've done this before, but we've done it a little more locally than what we're doing now. So it's really good to see how many people are interested. I know there are a few people who couldn't come today, and they're going to check out the YouTube, which is, you can just search Animal Activism Mentorship. And I think I saw the link being posted as well. I do think social media is extremely important. There are some people here who attended one of my webinars and they called it a boot camp. So I will take my time and make sure that I am as clear as possible for everyone. If you do have questions, please, you did suggest to a few people to bring questions, but if you do have questions, if there's any time that you think that I'm going too fast, just put it in the chat, and Michelle can probably just signal me. But usually I go at a pretty good pace. So I hope that you will all enjoy this. And yeah, so let's get started. So I do have an actual presentation, of course. So I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen here. And we're going to go ahead and present if it lets me. Did everything freeze? Of course. Let's do that again. In the meantime, if you don't know me, I can just say my name is Ina Maria. I am a business owner of Libero Solutions. Libero actually means to free or to rescue. It's why I picked the name. I wanted to remind myself every single day that the reason why I want to own a business is so that I can make enough money to support myself and then be able to donate the rest. And then also to have more time to fight for non-humans. And it's so far I've been privileged enough to be able to allow for time like this and for things like this to happen during running my business so that I can help the community in as many ways as possible. And then, of course, eventually, hopefully it plans my retirement out by itself so that I can continue just fighting for the animals as much as possible. So I'm just going to try to present one more time. Wonderful. It is not letting me present. For some reason, my Canva is down. I just tested it out. Just give me 1 second here, folks. Okay. All right. Here we are. Good. Okay, I'm just going to try one more time so I hope everyone can see my screen now. Now, at the end of this, I am actually I've decided to do a giveaway. So if you are interested in learning how to use Canva, which is a basic graphic design program, the course that I would be charging someone off the street would be worth about $300. It is quite an intensive course, but it is meant to obviously make you as successful as possible. I am going to be speaking on Canva a little bit later as well. So if you are interested in signing up, I will have a link at the end and you can just put your information in and I will do a giveaway. And then I'll share that information, of course, with Animal Activism Mentorship and on my own Instagram as well. And of course, you'll get an email from me saying that you won the course. So yeah, so we'll leave that at the end. So welcome to Beating the Social Media Algorithms and Animal Rights Perspective. I specifically curated this program for animal rights. So it is specific to the activities or the types of things that we do. It is at the same time, transferable. So there are certain things that I'm going to say that are going to be able to apply in any one of your, things in life. So if you are, personally using Instagram for your own personal account and not for anything animal rights, you could actually transfer some of the things that I'm saying. However, there are certain things in here that are very specific. So if you do have questions on that at the end as well, please do let me know. This is part 1, so there is a part 2 because I don't want to take 3 hours or 4 hours of your time. It is extensive. Social media overall is an extensive subject, which is why I am a social media manager. There's a lot of work to do in social media for it to, sort of be as successful as possible. And we'll talk and speak about influencers that work full time on doing this as well. And yeah, so anyways, a little bit about me. I am vegan since September 2020 and activist since January 2021 when Jenny McQueen, Peter McQueen, and a few more activists that I'm not sure if I can name actually ended up rescuing 2 ducks that were named Taffy and Tango. They are in the Toronto Star newspaper. They were a result, of course, of being dumped in the wild, even though they are domestic ducks, and we knew that they could not survive. So I learned a lot about fur and the fur-free movement from the infamous Jenny McQueen, who is my mentor. I basically almost forced her to be my mentor, and and she has no choice. She's in this in this chat right now, or in this Zoom right now, and so yeah. So after rescuing them, I really realized that I want to do more for the animals, and so we've been a little bit busy. We've rescued quite a few individuals that were actually dumped as well, and of course we've named them after people that are important. So Libby was named after Liberty. So I wanted her to have sort of a freedom thing because she was, sold through like a Craigslist type website. Gary, named after the main Poor Greg 12 trial that is still going on at the moment. And Joe, after a donor. Feliz, which is Latin for lucky, because I was lucky to find her. It took me a month and 3 days to find her after the first time I saw her, or I was told of her. And Marie Jeanne, which is actually named, she's actually named after Kasia, who's also a mentor and a microsanctuary guardian from Regan's Refuge Microsanctuary. And on the day that I found Marie Jeanne was the anniversary of Kasia's mom's passing. And so we decided to honor her mom. So I've been busy doing that, and at the same time realizing how much more I want to be involved in the animal movement and animal saving movement. I've heavily been focused around the anti-fur movement, so you'll see me a lot with a megaphone yelling at some organization or company that is trying to sell fur trims like Rudzack. I am known for running a random social media pressure campaign with a fellow activist named Amanda, who's also in this Zoom right now. Thank you. And we ended up running quite a big pressure campaign, enough to actually cause RedSac to lose 400 followers in about, I think it was about 9 or 10 days. They specifically sent us a message at the end, basically saying to stop pressuring them because of how much we've done. We shut down their comments, we shut down their web chat, we shut down their headquarters phones and their stores phones and everything, just by simply using social media to our benefit. I already introduced myself, but of course, I'm never going to skip Fifi. This is my Fifi girl. She is 16 and a half years old and a senior now. She is part of the reason why I work from home as well. I never want to leave her alone again, especially in her age, as she requires more and more care. And the more I, look at her, the more I looked at her back in January 2021, the more I realized that I wanted to do more for fur-bearing animals. So I want to talk about social media because we're moving digitally. More than half of the world's entire population now uses social media. That's almost 5 billion people. We are moving to a time now where, companies are selling more online than they are in stores. You're not noticing people actually walk into stores. You're seeing them visit websites. You're seeing them visit, their Instagrams. There's on Instagram specifically, there's a way to add a shop. On Facebook, you have a ways to put just shop. Pinterest is doing the exact same thing. And the reason for that is because people are mainly spending their time online. The average person spends more than 2.5 hours on platforms like Instagram. The average marketer like me spends 7 to 8 hours because that's all we do. A company called Sprout Social, who does a lot of reports, they reported that 85% of businesses rely on social media to determine business decisions. That's a really big deal. So when I actually read this statement, I thought back to RedSac losing a lot of followers and started thinking about how much damage we actually did that we might not even be able to measure. Our impact is immeasurable because we're seeing those potential customers who are following RedSac for a reason, want to give up following them because they were not having anything to do with what we were posting, because we were actually tagging RedSac, which means it was showing up on their profile under the tagged option on Instagram. So it's so interesting how much weight businesses are putting on social media. So when you get negative comments, when there was a large pressure campaign against Neiman Marcus to go for free, they actually had a bot that of course they would have had to pay for to remove comments that had anything to do with the word fur. And we'll talk about how to circumvent those bots as well a little bit later on. But imagine how much, effort they went through to find these things because they know that their customers are paying attention. Of course, animal rights and social media, I think, go hand in hand now, and I don't think we have a choice. And we are heavily affected by the way that social media controls a lot of things. So just like Michelle said at the beginning, they have a very stringent rules. Those rules tend to relax the more people have more followers and the type of content that they put out. So, if you see dancers and all they're doing is posting Instagram reels about dancing, they likely are not going to be affected affected by all of those stringent rules. Now, we as animal rights activists are heavily affected by it. So I'm asking, and really, I think a lot of people need to really look back and think if they've ever been shadow banned, because sometimes you may not even notice it because there's sort of levels to being shadow banned. So I asked, have you ever heard of a shadow ban? It can happen on virtually every single platform. You can get, of course, shadow banned on Instagram. There are a few attendees in here who have been shadow banned. Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, they all some sort of have unofficial ways as well, where you can sort of have violations and community guidelines that they don't agree with. A fellow activist sent me a message this morning. Her profile actually got restricted, I believe for 72 hours it was, and it was to do with on Facebook, and it was to do with her writing saying like, I'm going to come and kidnap you and have the weekend away. Like basically saying I'm kidnapping you for a girl's getaway. And one of those violated, quote unquote, community guidelines. Now, I know that this activist is quite an involved individual in the anti-fur movement. And she has like hundreds of interactions from other activists as well from all over North America. And so I know she was possibly targeted in some way by the community guidelines of Facebook. And we'll get into that a little bit later on as well. But it is worse than that. There are bigger things happening as well. I'm not going to touch heavily on this one, but I did really want people to be very aware of it. Activists are not only being shadow banned, but there are people's accounts that are being held hostage by scammers. So they'll, take over accounts and say, if you don't pay $200, we're not going to release it. There have been people who have had to record, things that they're supposed to say so that they can sell scam links and stuff to get more people. There are just recently one of our local restaurants got hacked, and then they sent private messages to followers and people that they interacted with before that said, if I send you a link, will you send it back to me? And somebody fell for it and then they got hacked. So it is something that I wanted to make sure I point out to, because it is becoming, the more people use it, 5 billion people is a lot of people, and the more, quite a few of them are up to no good. And so the more people are on it, the more likely you're going to get scams and stuff like that. We will touch on scams in part 2 and how you sort of tend to get out of being put in the scam bucket is what I call it. But you can't really fully escape it. So I do recommend just being sort of on high alert as you start using these things more and more. And if you use it, obviously our goal is to have more audience reach, more followers, so that we can influence more people and so on. So the more you do that, the more likely you're going to be found by the scammers, right? And so I just wanted to make sure I point that out a little bit as well. I talk about bans and slowdowns. So this, there are, of course, individuals who can, speak to this as well, that are in this Zoom right now that have actually had their profile suddenly disappear. So I'm just talking on this point a little bit more. Suddenly you cannot log in. During the Rudsack campaign, we actually had notifications on some people's accounts that said that their activity has been limited for the next 72 hours. And then there have been other people that noticed that one day they got 50 likes or so, and another one they had only 1 like. So I consider that a slowdown. Basically, you're not fully shadow banned, so you're not fully forced to get off of the profile, but you're basically flagged without them telling you you're flagged. Because technically, sometimes the things that we do may not actually violate those community guidelines that they have, but they just don't like it. And I'll touch on that a little bit later as well. Now, I want a couple of things that I want us to keep in mind as I go through this. And I'm trying to make sure when I built this workshop, I wanted to make sure that it's not a 2-hour workshop for everyone, because this information will probably seem like a boot camp for a lot of people. There's a lot to circumvent around this stuff. If you feel overwhelmed by what I'm saying, I do want you to just take a breath and just relax. I'm not telling you to follow all of these things and switch everything over tomorrow. What I'm doing is giving you some guidance so that you can use maybe 1 or 2 points, and then in a couple of months, use the next 2 or 3 points. So I want you to just get comfortable with it. I don't want you to just panic and like shut everything down and say, oh my God, this isn't for me. Do not do that. So I want us to keep in mind a few things, and this is something that I say to every single one of my clients. We do not own social media. We don't own our followers. We don't own the groups. We do not own any information. We probably don't even own all of the photos that we put out there, because they are being stored on some cloud or server somewhere. If something is free, you are the product. So you're going to notice the more you use your profiles, the more sponsored ads you get. Facebook is basically mostly ads, and sometimes once in a while you see updates from people. And the more you use it, the more likely you're going to be seeing that. We'll touch on that point a little bit later as well. But we don't own social media. And that's one of the things that I really want to make sure people understand. So if you have 2,300 followers, for example, as I almost do, on my Get Your Veg On page, those people can disappear tomorrow. they can disappear tonight. Instagram and Facebook have consistently gone down over the last year as Facebook, or Meta, as they're called now, have updated their systems and servers. And we lost access to WhatsApp, which is also owned by Facebook, Instagram and Facebook all at the same time. And, everybody kind of flocked over to Twitter and hoped to God that that was working, but we don't own any of this stuff. So whenever I say that, I want you to think about how you can communicate with people outside of social media and also on social media. So if something ever happens to your account, to try to contact your previous followers. So what I do is I literally go on a desktop version of my Instagram, for example, and on my Facebook. It's very easy. And all I do is go to my followers and I literally copy the entire list, put it in an Excel, and I keep that information if I ever need people's handles. And that's because there are, again, people in this Zoom right now that have lost their Instagrams for doing something that shouldn't even be considered a community guideline or a guideline violation. And we'll talk on that a little bit later as well. Social media has always been built on what attracts people. So happiness and joy. And animal rights activists, we don't always talk about happiness and joy. We sometimes will post photos that are trying, or, obviously focused on triggering individuals to make a make a change and suddenly move to going vegan or whatever it is. So if that's something that we're doing, Instagram's not going to, try to push that to as many people as possible, because it's not something that they want on their profile anyway. What they want is people dancing and people doing challenges and, somebody showing their, toes facing to the sun while they're on the beach and things like that. That's what sells. Okay. And so we want to find ways around that. So one of the things that I try to get people to do is, if you're sharing a lot of the more graphic things, we'll get on the graphic side a little bit later as well. If you're trying to share a lot of the graphic things, what I ask you to do is share cute stuff in the middle of it, right? So share a photo of a baby animal. If you ever notice that on the profiles that I manage, it's because I'm trying to get our profiles basically reset, because everybody loves baby animals. I hate photos of baby animals because that means that someone's been bred into existence, most likely, but it sells, and it's important to get people to react so that the next post that you have is more preferenced or preferred by places like Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. We can apply most guidelines that I said and tricks that I'm going to be speaking of here to almost all of the platforms. So I mostly focus on Facebook and Instagram because they are the most of the ones that we're going to be using as animal rights activists. Twitter, we definitely use for more official things as well and just quick messages, but some of these guidelines that I'm talking about are equally as important. And of course, my last point that I wanted us to keep in mind is that social media is not a one-stop activism tool. It is a supplementation to all of it. So I'm saying that because I don't want us to sit behind our computers and think that just by posting on social media, we get far enough. To get far enough is almost impossible on social because there are, one, people that don't use it. Two, it depends what kind of social media profiles that you have. So as an example, let's use Fur Free Federation as an example. Fur Free Federation does a lot of, actions. So if you hop on, it'll be comment storms and help us, get this individual company to drop fur. We have an event coming up, things like that are going to be posted. And then, so what I'm saying is, like, they might not go in there and then start talking about people going vegan. They're focused on the fur free stuff. So we can use social as a platform where we can sort of supplement the information to people and get information out to people who are not showing up in front of us, who aren't on the street when we're on our megaphones and things like that. And it's definitely, again, a supplementation because we don't want to rely solely on it, because sometimes it could just disappear on us as well, as I've pointed out in the first point as well. So I'm going to get right into this part. And I do want to use a small trigger warning here because I am using words that refer to, like, negative words that refer to like killing, things like that. So if that does bother you, please just mute over the next minute or two. I am going to specifically focus on it. And I didn't want to remove this point because I've seen so many activists do this. And then I instantly, as soon as I see people use these words, I actually go to their profile and I'm curious to see how little followers they have. And 99% of the time I am right. It's unfortunate, but these words like kill, death, murder, or swear words will tend to bring less people in. So Instagram, once again, Facebook, once again, Twitter. Twitter is one of the worst for these ones. They are not going to like you using these words unless you're basically like a news outlet that says, death of X person, happened last night, blah, blah, blah. So what you want to do, especially when it comes to like commenting, like if we're doing a comment storm, for example, and you want to be speaking about these things to a company like Neiman Marcus, stop killing animals, for example, you're going to write stop and then K with an exclamation mark and then double L, ing, whatever, things like that. Or you're going to actually space it out like how I point out here with murd space 3R. And I specifically do that. And you'll also even notice me when I do comment storms, I'll actually do things like go for free. And because I know that Neiman Marcus hired a bot, I never want to do that again. And so I never want, my comment to be removed. So I actually literally do G space O space F space use because they can't just remove letters. They'll remove everyone's comments if they do that. So these are sort of little tricks that we want to use. Now, when we are using our own or these words on our own captions and things like that, we want to apply that. If we're actually speaking and we have, let's say, for example, captions turned on and we're using like an Instagram reel, for example, we are going to either turn off the captions and type them ourselves, or avoid that word altogether. You do not want your caption to be saying something, 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 killing animals or death or anything, because likely your post will either be flagged, removed, whatever, or you'll experience your slowdowns because Instagram's not going to push that out to anyone, and neither will Facebook or Twitter. Twitter is a lot more, stringent. They'll actually just remove stuff like they don't care. And you'll notice, of course, you see what they do, like they control who they take on, who they take out of the game pretty quickly. They have no shame in that. And then beeping out your own words. So if you are going to do something like this, you can actually put things like, instead of F-U-C-K, you can put F-C-C-K, things like that. Our brains are basically programmed to understand the words we're reading. And usually we actually only see the first and the last, and then in between can be jumbled as much as possible and you'll still pick up the word. So you can do that and your followers or the people that are interacting with your stuff are not going to be affected by it. I specifically do that. So I will sometimes say the word S-H-I-T. And if I do that, I'll put S-H-X-T just so that I don't have that word specifically in my stuff. And then of course you can always use the asterisk way where you can just put like F, star, star, star. And then the last thing I definitely don't want us to be doing is use extremely graphic video. And if you are intending, because I have had arguments with individuals that say that that's what they want to be sharing, I understand why, because I myself believe that putting graphic video in front of someone's face will shock the living SHXT out of them. And if it was me walking by something like an Anonymous for the Voices Cube, I likely would have gone vegan a lot faster. However, again, going back to that whole idea that Instagram does not like that, and neither does Facebook or Twitter, we are not going to want to be sharing that and then expecting that the right people are going to be fed this information, right? So when you are posting it on your profiles, it's not me that you're trying to get to. I'm already vegan. I agree with you. Right? But it's someone outside of that, an audience of someone who, when you hashtag something like meat lovers, that person is going to be following the hashtag meat lovers and then get that fed in their news feeds. Or if they're on Facebook, people are going to share it and it's actually going to get to them because you'll notice, and this is probably for almost every single one of us, when you share on Facebook, if you share stuff that is pretty graphic, there are very few likes outside of certain, fellow vegan animal rights activists that are going to interact with it because they also want the truth to be out there. If you are going to use it seldomly. And once again, I'm going to suggest that if you're going to, do something like that, what I would probably do is share baby animal photos the day before, interact with, other accounts, make sure I'm using my stories quite a bit, things like that. Be on Instagram at least 15 to 30 minutes the day before. Be it on Instagram at least 15 to 20 minutes the day of that you're going to share this graphic video. And then you're going to share your graphic video, and you might still just have an assumption that you are going to experience a slowdown, and you likely will not escape that, but it's okay. Like sometimes you just want to share that, and I totally understand, but just know that you're going to have a slowdown most likely. Now, there are some basics before I get into the do's that I want us to remember. And this basically applies to, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. The longer someone spends on your page or post, the better you perform. So if you're using, an Instagram reel and your reel is only 7 to 10 seconds long, which is probably just a reaction or something, like Bree for Liberation does amazing short Instagram reels, but she has a lot of information in her caption usually. And she, I didn't speak to her on this, but she is, effective because people are going to replay it because they're curious about what she just did. She has, little pieces that she writes on the reel itself that people probably would want to read. And then there's this huge caption that explains what she's talking about. And then on top of that, she's on her comment section, replying back to people and being extremely interactive. All of that causes someone to be on your page or post a lot longer. And then people like me, because I'm a curious person, I'll sit there reading the comment section for like 10 minutes sometimes on people's posts. And believe it or not, I know, and I'm fully aware that I'm actually pushing this person's post as much as possible. So I will never go onto the comment section of like affirming association or something like that, because I know I'm boosting their profile, and I'm like, nope, you're not even getting 1 second of my time. You don't deserve it. The more value, the more followers, the more engagement. So I want us to remember that when we post something, we are trying to get a reaction. We are trying to get someone to be happy, to like, to be upset and say something about it. We are trying to get someone to give their opinion. We are trying to get someone to react somehow. We want a reaction. So if someone is following you, there's a reason why they press the follow button. For me, it used to be because my recipes broke down every single micronutrition that I could get. So it wasn't just, carbs, protein, and fat. It was like vitamin A, C, whatever. And I was, I've never seen anyone else do that, to be very honest. And so people followed in because I did all of the work for them before. So they didn't even need to figure out what to make for dinner. If they felt like, they wanted to increase their vitamin D intake, well, I probably had, 4 recipes to start off with. Of course, as I changed and became whatever the heck I am now, as Get Your Veg On, it's a lot more activism. I try to be, the sort of a person of, some sort of wisdom, or, I'm not the wisest, but I definitely think I have some wisdom that I can share with my community. And so I started gaining more followers because of that as well. And then of course, the more engagement. So you want people to actually want to sort of align with your values and things like that. I have people that follow me that are vegan converts of mine, people who want to continue to see what I'm posting about, want to know, and what I'm up to. And then I'll usually go and engage with them and say, happy vegan anniversary and things like that. And then those are sort of like the loyal followers that we want to get. So you want to continue to give off that value. I'm going to point out one profile that gives off a lot of value is someone like the Cranky Vegan. So Jay Conroy, exceptional, presenter. If you notice his profile, you'll actually always see comments. You'll always see people love his stuff. You'll always see that a lot of people vote on his polls and things like that. And he has consistently grown his followership since I followed him just in the last year, not only on Instagram, but on Facebook and on YouTube, because of the things that he posts about, and the amount of value that he brings, right? I think quite a few of us, especially the people that are newer, sort of flock to his channels because we know we're going to get a lot of, good, valuable, I'm going to use the word that I keep trying to tell everybody, valuable information. The other thing, and I've highlighted this before to many people, and I think some of you will laugh because you're on my Instagram already, but I literally, one of my fellow activists who attended a previous webinar commented and said, commenting for the algorithm, because she knew that I ask people to do 4+ word comments. And I specifically wrote fire, 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 because fire, 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 fire do not count as 4 words. And I've seen a lot of people do that. 4-word comments are exceptionally important if you want to boost someone's profile. It's also important if you want to boost your own profile. So yes, you're commenting on someone else's stuff, but by you commenting and actually being a non-robot, so you don't want to just go, thanks for sharing, and then just leave it at that, or thank you for sharing, I guess. So if you want to make it 4 words, you want to say something like, this really resonated with me. I'm going to be sharing this. Thank you. It's more than 4 words. It takes probably the same amount of time to comment it. And then Instagram's going to be like, oh, this person's actually building those relationships. And that's another point that I'm going to bring up very shortly. But do not put just emojis. Please, good God, please don't do this anymore. I see all of them. Facebook is dead. Yes, I've announced their death, except for groups. So Facebook is going through a huge renovation. When you go into your account settings, a lot of us, not everyone yet, will notice that there's, virtual rooms and VR, equipment, like being set up so that we can actually interact with it. It's quite an exceptional change that's about to happen. We're noticing that less people are interacting with each other's, posts and things like that, because they're not even seeing it. It's not even like, I know a lot of people go, where the heck are my friends and stuff like that. It's probably your friends are there, but they just didn't see your post. A fellow activist commented on something else recently saying like, our posts are constantly being, torn apart and torn down, but I follow you religiously. And they basically are sitting there, someone's actually sitting there like, saving who they need to interact with and then going on their list every day or something, because they know that information is not going to be given to them or fed to them. And Facebook is a lot of ad information. And then groups, though, groups is where it's at, with some serious stipulations on that. But if you really want interaction, groups is where you're going to go. So there's an animal activism mentorship group, right? I see the information from there more often than I see my Facebook friends' posts. And so I'm more likely to interact with that. And then of course I interact with it. And then that gets continuously pushed up to the top as something that I've interacted with. So it'll be fed to me more often. And then again, my friends are suffering because there's more ads coming in as well. So you want to sort of see if you can, get yourself inside of groups that you can interact with, that you can have, the right information being shared and actually communicated and things like that. You can make public groups. The stipulations that I have around groups is that, again, we don't own social media, which means that your group can be shut down. And if you go to Facebook's reviews, you can actually see that there are people crying, saying that they've lost groups that had 300,000 members and things like that. Facebook doesn't care. They don't discriminate. If someone, reported your group over and over and over again, your group can be shut down. And so try to, again, if you're having groups, avoid the things that I'm talking about no matter what. So that includes those, graphic images and, it includes those swear words and things like that. You can run things effectively and avoid, Facebook's community guidelines. They're pretty much absolutely ridiculous sometimes. As I mentioned, the fellow activist that got silenced for 72 hours just because she said she'll kidnap somebody for a girl getaway. Just one moment as I take a drink. I apologize. Good. Graphics are important is the next point. So even if you are sharing something that is someone else's video, if you're sharing something that you took off or you recorded somewhere and things like that, graphics can really change the way that people interact with your things. I'm not saying that you have to be, constantly, like, I'm not saying for you to like make this a full-time job where all you're doing is making graphics for your Instagram profile, or for your Facebook profile and Twitter, or Pinterest. Not that we'll as activists, I highly doubt we use Pinterest very much. And not that I've seen, at least. But I do want us to have some sort of focus on it. So as an example, when I post a reel on Instagram and on Facebook, because I do move them over, I do have a cover photo that I put on that I pre-build. And so to make your life easier, what you can do is to have reels that you'd like to post, and then always have sort of a template cover that you keep on the side using basic programs like Canva. So every one of us should be able to manage that. And then if not, let me know. I can always give you some guidance. And then what we can do is have that sort of like as a template so that we can just, sort of change the titles and everything like that. I've done that before as well. When I don't do it, it's because I was lazy or out of time. I'm not telling you to do it, to rack your brain so much that every single time you go to post, you think about graphics. But what I'm saying is to try to make that something that is a priority in your mind. And if you do have the time to invest that time so that your profile looks, more appealing and stuff like that. A great example is Vegan Zinga. So she doesn't have specifically graphics, but what she has is good pictures, high quality, and they all have similar looks to it. So she might look like she's random, but when you pay attention to her whole profile and her grid, she actually has quite, sort of a theme of how she posts. So no matter if the reel is talking about, how she traveled to a specific location, the picture and the cover will be her, holding up a drink in front of a main skyline and things like that in a really high-res photograph. So it does attract people, and she has like quadrupled in followers in the last like 6 months. Social media is now relationships. So a lot of times we often think that we can just hop on IG and then hop off, or we just go in for 15 minutes and then we just sort of, scroll through our feeds of Facebook and then just press like, or then we go on Twitter and then we just press retweet. That is not how it works. We do have to build those relationships. So the more we want, the more successful we want our social media, and the better way to sort of boost our own algorithms is by interacting with other accounts. So following people, commenting on their stuff, sharing other people's things and actually giving them credit, sending them a direct message and saying, this was really great, thank you for doing that. Those are things that really help. And they don't just help in terms of actually boosting our algorithm, but also that these are the people that will come back and help you later on. So again, going back to Andrea, who just commented on the reel that I posted about this workshop, where she said commenting for the algorithm, right? That is someone who, I've, interacted with in the past, who we've, done activism together, and she knows how important those 4 words to me are. So I built this relationship with this fellow individual activist, and, she is obviously going out of her way now to comment, because she knows that that's going to help me boost. I did not, solicit that comment. It was there because this person knew how important that would have been to me. Right. So relationships, there are always people that come in and comment on my Instagram, for example, and on my Facebook, that are, people who I sort of just like, they're sort of I feel entitled and sort of privileged at the same time to say this, but I sort of expect it now because I've been trained by them to expect that they're going to interact with things. And this is, you know, people who I've spoken with since even before becoming vegan as well. And then my last point, and I'm just going to move over my controls here so I can see my whole screen. But my last point is done is better than perfect. So I often say this, and I'm going to say this again, done is better than perfect. So if you did not post your graphics and your graphics have a mistake in it, post it anyway. I know you don't like the sound of this, and I'm going to get really mean when I say this, post it anyway. Do not shy away from making a mistake and being vulnerable. I'm vulnerable. I've cried my butt on Instagram videos and I regret nothing. And I don't care. It was the way that I wanted it. People are tired of picture perfect things. The more vulnerable you are, the more likely you are going to have loyalty. And it's more important to have the content out there in time, at the right time, than it is to not have it at all because you obsessed over a spelling or a picture or an action or whatever. Okay. And no, I do not care about the way your theme looks or if you break it. Vegan Zinga does it all the time. She will break it. And then after like 48 hours, she will actually remove it and tell people she's removing it. She actually made a post about the new mayor of New York City. And then she literally wrote, this is great. This is what it signifies, blah, blah, blah. Hey, by the way, I'm going to remove this post because it doesn't go with my theme. I'll remove it in 48 hours. And she was just as honest as it comes. Okay. Now the do's, these are the easy things. Okay. Find the value. I've already spoken to this quite a bit, but I'm going to say it again. Find a value and keep giving it. Compare yourself to other large following accounts. And no, I don't want you to live the life that Vegan Zinga lives. You do not have to do that. And you don't have to follow Tabitha Brown, and you don't have to do the 1001 videos that Tabitha does. Okay. And you don't have to get out of the shower and videotape yourself like Tabitha does, as an example. She does that and that's her brand. But I want you to compare to these individuals and see how they post things, when they post, how they write their caption, what they're actually giving to the community. It doesn't have to be the same value, but make sure that you realize how they provide the value to the community, right? We follow these individuals, or I follow these individuals for 4 separate reasons. I don't follow the cranky vegan for the same reason I'm following Vegan Zinga. I follow Vegan Zinga because it's interesting to see how she has people commenting even when they're not vegan. I follow Tabitha Brown because she basically revolutionized BIPOC community, people belonging to BIPOC community being vegan and interacting with things, because there are a lot of times where we don't, as non-BIPOC people, we tend not to always cater to all of our audiences. So these are things that interest me because I want to obviously be as inclusive as possible. Those are the kinds of things that I want to bring as value. Okay. Remember that you're not posting for yourself and not trying to convince vegans unless you're posting in action. So I say this with the nicest and the kindest heart when I do, but we often tend to be echo chambers. So when you are posting, you don't want to use hashtags like #vegan, which has like 300 million hashtags anyway, and you don't want to use it because they're not, your post is not going to show up. You're trying to post for the people that are outside. So I'll give you an example. I posted a photo. I know this is not going to be pretty for everyone here, but to the quote unquote carnist, it would probably was appealing. But I posted a photo of I don't know how to say this without sounding gross. It was an animal on a plate, and it was actually a reel, and it started with that picture because I wanted to trick the algorithm. And then it instantly went to talk about chickens. And it was like how amazing chickens are. Here's the cute photos and the baby photos of the chickens and things like that. And I did that because I was trying to get people in. And then my hashtags were specifically like meat lover, chicken wings, and the event that it was for, and so on. And I did that because I'm not posting for vegans. I'm trying to attract the people who are searching bacon on Instagram. Use questions everywhere. Reels, posts, stories. This is so easy to do. All you have to do is put a thing saying, how do you feel about this? Or does this make sense to you? Or this really hurt. What are you feeling about this? Or how's everyone doing? Like, I swear to you, I've literally posted a thing that said, how are you doing? Are you good? And then people actually wrote and told me how they were. People love to state their opinion, and there will be trolls, which I actually welcome on my profiles. Trolls are great because they boost your algorithm, because when you get trolls on your Instagram and your Facebook, mostly your Instagram, because most of our Facebooks are probably private. But when you get questions or trolls, they comment more than 4 words at a time. And then they get mad and send, like, they share your post to their friends so that they can come in, so that they can try to troll you too. So they're just literally boosting our algorithm more than they know. So I'll eventually get mad and write something like, thanks for boosting my algorithm, by the way, bye, stuff like that. But, use those questions and get people to state their opinion, whether their opinions are great or not. And then start a small group of supporter people and tell them you posted. And don't do this on the platform. Do not go on Instagram and send 1001 messages that say, hey, we have a new post. Can you go like it? If you do that more than 20 times, you're going to experience slowdowns, and you won't be able to get out of it for at least 2 to 3 days. So if you have an action, for example, and I've seen us do that quite a bit, and if you have an action, I don't want you to be sending the same message to everyone. What I'd rather you do is have, send it to 20 people, stop, change the message to the next 2 saying, hey, can you go check out my latest post, and so on. And then do that only within 24 hours of each other. It's not worth it. It's going to slow down your post, and it's not going to be sent to the right people. Follow back events are a no-no. So vegan follow back Friday and all of those things, please don't do it. Do not do this. Follow backs basically cause Instagram profiles to be flagged because they look like all of a sudden you purchased followers, as an example. You generally do not want to follow more than 20 people and unfollow more than 20 people at a time. There are people who followed more and literally got their Instagram removed permanently from the world, and they were never able to go back in. It's not worth it. Follow back also means that people are following you that are likely not going to interact with your things. So if that is the case, they're not worth it anyway. And I'm going to say this unpopular opinion, but quantity does not mean it's quality. It's better to have 1,000 followers and have 10% of them actually care about what you do and actually interact with you, versus having 10,000 followers and having only 3 or 4 people comment. And I have seen that happen many times. You want loyalty, you do not want quantity. Protect your Facebook groups from getting shut down. I did touch on that as well already. So make sure, again, avoiding swear words, avoiding people reporting things and so on. You want people to have as little conflict as possible. Learn to use programs like Canva to boost your profile. Canva is free for everyone unless you want the pro version, which is like 155 Canadian. It's per year. It is useful because you can make things look just a little prettier. And make some sort of branding to your profile, because people like pretty. We go back to that same thing where no matter if you're using it on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, whatever, you are going, and TikTok, of course, you want things to look the same. So you'll notice things like on TikTok where I'm sure not everyone has TikTok yet because it is an uncomfortable discussion surrounding TikTok. But if you use things like TikTok, you'll notice that people use the same sort of like highlights of what their video is about in the cover image, and they'll put all of those to be the same because they want people to see symmetry, and symmetry is always pretty to humans. And even if there's a mistake, laugh it off and post it. We've done that many times. My clients do it all the time. And what my clients will do, just be like, whoops, we send the wrong thing out. Anyways, just because we did that, here's 10% off. Like they'll actually send the wrong emails on purpose, be vulnerable, and then send a 10% off coupon to make people chuckle and obviously buy stuff. And we do that on purpose sometimes now. We laugh it off. We are vulnerable. We're not perfect. We are all humans and there's human error. So I want you to go with it. And I don't want you to sit there going, and never, and I say this with as much love as possible, do not ever delete your post. It does not matter how many mistakes you have. It doesn't matter if you did it wrong or not. Don't delete and repost. If you do that, Instagram's going to call it as a scam. Facebook's going to call it a scam. Twitter's going to probably call it a scam as well, though they don't talk about it. And what it's going to do is it's actually going to force you to slow down, and you don't want to do that. And then engage with others as well. So community is everything. And I've already highlighted that a little bit, but engage with people and engage honestly. And to be honest with you, I don't know why we wouldn't engage, why we would not go on Instagram. Like, you know, scrolling and liking posts is like literally the least thing that we want doing. We want people to be, how do I say this? I lost my train of thought. I apologize, but we want people to just be genuine with each other. We want to boost our own groups as well. Like it, you know, by interacting with people that are also posting on Instagram, it, you know, makes you look like a real person, not a robot. It makes, you know, Facebook know that you're actually worth sending sponsored ads to. The longer you are on these profiles, the more you're going to be given sponsored ads. But that's because they think that you're worth it. So you want to be on there. You want to be interacting with people so that you're boosting yourself. You're boosting yourself and look like the, you know, the ideal client to Facebook or to Meta. And then you want to have those people become loyal to you. Community really is everything on social. So I'm almost on time, I think, but I have a give me a shout on here, and I specifically have put my email on there. That is just my generic inbox, but I do manage that entirely. I don't want anyone to feel like they are you know, they can't ask a question. I have done this before. I know that many people will come back and ask those questions that they need to ask. Feel free and don't hesitate to reach out. You can see and sort of observe the things that I have on Instagram and Facebook. I have been a little more silent lately because I am taking a step back while I take care of my senior canine companion. But I'm there for questions. I'm always going to be available. This is extremely important to me because our you know, activism community, our animal rights community really needs the help on social. We are battling with companies that make thousands, millions, billions of dollars exploiting animals. And so they have more money to sponsor ads and you know, show you know, companies like Instagram and Facebook that they're worthwhile, and therefore their stuff will go further than ours. So all of the tools that we can get and we can use to make ourselves successful should be put into play. Again, I'm going to remind everyone that just because I put so much information on this does not mean that you should be, you know, going tomorrow and implementing all of it. What I'd rather you do is do one guideline a day and see how you do. So I'm going to stop sharing for now, and then I guess open it up for questions.
So that was amazing, Ina. Thank you so much. So much amazing content. I'm going to start with the questions that were put in the chat, okay, which might take you back to what you were talking about earlier. So the first one was from Howard. I don't know if Howard's still on with us. Don't things like Facebook's papers suggest that social media is built at least as much on outrage and partisanship?
Say that again, the paper?
Facebook, don't things like Facebook papers suggest social media is built at least as much on outrage and partnership as happiness and joy, I think.
Yeah, so yes, there's definitely a huge focus on partisanship and stuff, and getting people to be outraged and stuff like that. It's that kind of thing. Like, it's that reaction. It's, you want people to have some sort of side, of course, and that's when they'll start arguing and all of that stuff. That's why we have 1,001 groups of pro-vax and anti-vax as an example. And of course, during our elections, which we do have an election coming up here provincially, so that's going to start a whole set of things. And Facebook is going to post quite a bit, and not Facebook's going to post it. Facebook's going to push a lot of the information that they believe is relevant and stuff, right? And we saw that during the American elections as well. And so we want to make sure that we try to spark some sort of reaction. So yes, we want sometimes to have outrage, you're being lied to and things like that, like getting people to react. The only thing is that you might get some reactions, but you might get reactions from your followers and stuff like that. But Facebook itself or Instagram and things like that are going to lessen that information because you're arguing the things that they don't want to have argued against.
Excellent. So Howard had another question. Are YouTube and TikTok interesting as platforms for reaching a broader audience?
Yeah, so TikTok, I'm biased. I get shadow banned on TikTok every other day because I'm anti buying anything from China. So every time I say that, I get pretty much shadow banned. They don't tell me, they just do it. So because I did read the end user agreement, and I do get, I was like, the user agreement literally says not to talk about China and Prime Minister Modi from India. And so I don't think or know that TikTok is going to get the same amount of information out, although Jenny McQueen does a great job. So she's Veg Jen on TikTok. And so she posts quite a few things on there. Sorry, Jenny, I'm always like pointing you out. Eventually she'll get mad at me, I think. But in the meantime, I'll, use it until she says stop. But she posts things, and she'll get a lot of trolls. There are a lot of trolls on TikTok. So you have to be prepared, and you have to have a really thick skin. Like, don't worry about them. They're boosting your profile. So just let them do it anyway and actually reply back to them. And Jenny does a great job of replying back to them in a pretty compassionate way. She'll just be like, check out what, Dominion, and, how about watching Dominion, or how about watching Earthlings and stuff like that. So, of course, it's good to reply to them as well, even though that you might disagree with what they're saying, but keep yourself, calm, because it's really not worth it. Like, they're doing it to get a rise out of you, right? I don't think that you would be communicating the same way on TikTok as you would on other profiles. So TikTok is all video. So you're going to want to get on the trends. Those are the things that get pushed to people. So Varun from Animal Safe Movement does the TikTok for Animal Safe Movement, and he'll do a bunch of dances, and he'll get people like myself involved, and we'll do a bunch of TikTok dances that are popular. So he'll do things like that, and then post cute little things on top that say, when vegans find out that something's on sale, and then we're all shaking our booties, like that kind of stuff. So he'll do that. So he might communicate the vegan message, but I don't think that that's where our audience is, to be very honest with you, because they're mostly very young individuals who believe that myself and people at 30 are old AF. So I'm not sure that that's the change makers and so on. You might want to post cute photos there, and cute videos, or make like an Instagram reel and take that and put it on TikTok, and of cute baby animals, and saying, go vegan for them and stuff like that. But I don't think that it will be as intense, because you also are missing your caption. So you only have like 125 or 150 characters, and that includes your hashtags on TikTok. So you have to be like, tweet mode, basically. So your message may have to be extremely diluted. On YouTube, it's a lot more high quality. You do want to have interactions with people. You definitely want to get to know YouTube a little bit more. I do think that you can post things, but they can get lost a lot easier. So with YouTube, you want to be very familiar with the platform. You want to have those high-res videos. You have to be comfortable in front of the videos and have video editing skills. I don't think that saying like myself, or making mistakes or doing that, losing your train of thought, really work on YouTube. People are going there to watch, and if you don't captivate their audiences, they're going to come off of your video, and then if they do that, then your video doesn't get suggested, right? So you want to make sure that you're actually ready to be speaking, and have valuable information that's actually getting put out there. If you are already doing videos, like for example, how AAM puts these workshops on YouTube anyway, I don't see anything wrong with that. I think that the more places you exist, the better. YouTube is owned by Google. If someone writes things like animal activism mentorship in the description and talks about veganism and talks about, whatever the description might be, that information is going to be passed or filtered through Google. And if someone Googles, activism mentorship or mentors for activists, that might come up on a Google search, and this workshop might come up just because we put the right keywords in place. So I do think that if you have those videos, and if you are ready to be on video, and if you're comfortable doing that kind of stuff, you can be, or become sort of one of those influencers that uses YouTube like you would like a Twitch, and follow, get your people to follow you around. So, oh, we just went to Starbucks and this is what we did. Okay, now we're going to order. Okay, blah, 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 and all of that stuff. And then have some sort of video editing into that as well. So I think that for our immediate message, we need to be where our opponents are. So as an example, I have not worked on this yet, but I did start a project to basically anger the dairy farmers of Canada. And we copied their logo and made it our own. And then we called it Dairy Farming in Canada. And we actually take all of their posts and copy it and make it our own posts with the right information. Natasha's laughing as she helped build the logo into what it is. Instead of the maple leaf on the cow, we put a heart instead. And instead of, putting something like quality milk, we put reality milked or something like that. Like we just really went all out to like really piss them off. And so we did that. And now people actually think that we're the dairy farmers of Canada. And so we literally get tagged on things that have to do with like dairy in Canada. and they think that we're the other guys. So I am where my opponents are. My opponents are clearly using Instagram to make people think that milk is good for them. And so we'll find the same reel, and one of them is like them posting like a glass and pouring the milk in the glass, and then it lists the vitamins in the milk. And so we did the same photo with the same video of the same glass, except it's actually soy milk at the top, and then we listed the ingredients on the soy milk. And so I'm not sure that, companies like Neiman Marcus would have existed on YouTube as much as they would have on Instagram or Facebook and things like that. We kind of want to go where the consumers are and where they're searching for things. But YouTube is, a quality platform if you are doing it right.
Clever, great tips. So Tamir had a question about low value. He says, I've seen activists post too much to the point where they get no engagement, and some who post once in a while and get high levels of engagement. What's a good middle ground?
2 to 3 times a week, with the days that you're not posting, in using those days as interactions. So when I was active on Get Your Veg On as much as possible, I was actually, what I would do is I would go like Monday. I never post on Mondays because I'm grumpy on Mondays. So I assume that other people are grumpy on Mondays because people have to go to work. It's a 9-to-5 job. Mondays are crap. Okay. And so I basically would take that time to interact with people and be as positive as possible. Like, oh my God, this is the best post I've seen. Thanks so much, blah, blah, blah. And then I, amp that up on the Tuesday when I'm about to post. And then I post 15 minutes after I do all my interactions, because what I'm trying to do is get people like Plant-Based News. If they did a post on a Tuesday morning, I interact with that post. I want people to come to my page because Plant-Based News might see my post, my comment, they might like it or pin it to the top, which is like the dream. And then people will see it and then like my stuff that they agree with me, and then come to my page, follow me because I just posted as well, and I'm hella good at what I did or something, and then they agree with it, and then next thing you know, I have 20 new followers. And that's happened every single time that I have interacted with accounts like that, and then gotten my comment liked or pinned or whatever. So generally speaking, I don't post every single time. I'm not as active as I want to be right now because I'm way too busy. But generally speaking, when I was active and gaining and doubling in followers, it was 2 to 3 times a week. And it was good posts. Like, it wasn't stuff like, oh crap, it's Tuesday, I forgot. Like, it was stuff that I had taken the time to think of and plan out and stuff like that. And so generally, if you want to help yourself about what to post, because that's really hard, content building is hard. Sometimes you sit in front of your computer going, worst case scenario, go steal somebody else's stuff, because I mean, the internet's recycled, people. So, go on there and take, something from the hopeful herbivore and take their stuff and just tag them and say, great post by the hopeful herbivore. And then post it on there, or something like from the vegan community, which vegan community is literally just an amalgamation of other people's stuff. It's just recycled stuff. So take it from them just because they have the most followers, like 892,000 or something, repost it, put it on there, tag them, tag the original person, because why not? And then go with it. But if you really want to make your original content, and the more original content you have, the better. Don't just be like a recycled person, because then you're just like everybody else in an echo chamber. But if you want to have those originals, what I would do is take like a national calendar of events. We just had World Wildlife Day, for example. So if we have World Wildlife Day, every one of us should have been posting something about World Wildlife Day. Right. And we can make our own original content by posting cute photos. I think a Coyote Watch Canada just did a picture of a coyote looking back, high res, and it just says, protect or something like that. So simple, to the point. It's World Wildlife Day. We all know it. And that's an easy thing that you can just post a caption about something that you're an expert in and make your life easier. But don't post every single day. And definitely do not hashtag every single day the same thing, because you're going to get banned. So if you're going to post, change your hashtags if you're going to post every single day. And if you're posting every single day, it better be worth it. Like, you need to be cognizant of the amount of information you're giving your followers as well. The more people you have following you, and the more people are interacting with your stuff, you don't want to be sitting there just spamming the living crap out of people's news feeds as well. You want to sort of take it down a bit and just, provide value over content, if that makes sense.
Thank you. We've got a bunch more questions.
Sorry, I have long-winded answers, but I want them to be valuable to you.
No, very, very comprehensive and thorough, of course. Thank you. That's why I have a part 2 coming up, and we'll announce it. I mean, yes. Natasha asked, why is TikTok uncomfortable? Is there a short answer to that?
Yes. So TikTok is Chinese owned, and therefore they are state controlled, which means you are going to get like how they basically are. I can literally confirm to you that they're listening to me without it's a privacy issue that people are uncomfortable with. It drives a lot of useless information through it. So it's just people going and dancing, and it's the same dance that you see 1,001 places. Most people that are trolling you are profiles that are limited, that you can't see what they're doing, what they've said, or who they're following and stuff like that. And then they're just usually like 12, 13-year-old kids that have nothing to do with their lives. And haven't found their purpose yet. And so those are not really your targeted audience anyway. And because it's, controlled by Chinese government officials, you're not going to be able to get as much information out if you start, veering off into the whole animal rights things. There was a recent, and my I'm slipping the name, but there was a recent person who literally got banned because he got trolled so much and he got reported, and he was a vegan influencer. And there were people, corralling together so that they could get this person reinstated on TikTok. And I don't even think that he ever was reinstated. He can get removed, and you can get removed as well. And TikTok, again, does not discriminate. They're quite actually like, if they don't like what you're posting, you're out kind of thing. And you're not just being shadow banned for 3 days, you're just out. So you have to keep that in mind as you do stuff. I personally just don't like how state controlled it is. And not the fact that they're listening that much. Everybody's listening to you, but they're just listening extra hard. So I just hate TikTok. Yes.
Tell us how you really feel. So Taylor asked, how much does editing a caption after posting it impact engagement?
So I try to get people not to edit. If you're going to edit your caption and you didn't put your hashtags in your caption, you might get away with it. But every time you press save, it's like you reposted it. So I try not to. Again, like if you're editing spelling mistakes, please don't, just leave them alone, and then just actually comment and say, whoops, I made a few spelling mistakes, blah, 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 and just, like slap them onto the comment section. But I wouldn't edit. I would try to stay away from it unless you've passed 24 hours, and after 24 hours, you can do whatever you want because your post is kind of expired anyway. Like it's not being sent to as many people as it was before. So I can edit then. If your hashtags are inside of your caption instead of them being in your comment, which you can do both, it doesn't matter. I prefer it in the comments because then I can take the, like on Instagram, you can take your 2,200 characters and actually talk instead of using half of them for your hashtags. But if you have your hashtags in your caption, I would not change the caption. I wouldn't touch it.
Got it. Okay. Juan asked, how much does followers versus following matter in terms of ratio?
Yes. So you have a maximum of following, and I believe it's 7,500. I personally will never follow back everybody. I don't care to see everybody's stuff because I want to be as specific as possible in my information. Like I don't want to have, someone at the beach, like, basic people. Someone might just be following me because they're interested in what I'm saying, but all they do is post when they travel to Mexico. Like I'm not interested in that. I want, to see cranky vegan stuff being sent to me as more. So strategically speaking, I wouldn't have a lot of followers anyway. However, building community means a lot. So as an example, Pop Vegan Baking and I have been following each other since 2020, we've just been basically Instagram friends. One day when I go to Orlando, I'm going to go visit and get her cookies. Like that's just the thing. But so I will follow people like that back because they're worth it. They're valuable to me. They're individuals who I want to interact with, who I want to support, things like that. I know Jenny McQueen is out of follower numbers right now, and she wants to follow more activists and support everybody, but Instagram maxed her out and she has no choice. And it sucks, right? Like you want to support as many people as possible. Unfortunately, you have to sacrifice. So generally, I don't follow everyone back because I'm not thinking for today when I have 1,000 followers. I'm thinking for tomorrow when I have 10,000 followers. And so if I followed every single person, I am not going to be able to follow everybody when I get to the end. And I personally, when the cranky vegan follows me, which I'm already following, obviously, but when he follows me and let's say I'm a new account, I want to follow him back, not the person posting beach photos every single day, right? So I want to show my support. And so I'm thinking about things like that. It's not a popularity contest as much anymore. Nobody's sitting there going, this person only follows 100 people, like they must be important. It used to be though. So I don't think it matters, but your followers, in terms of quantity, yes, it's great to have as many as possible because you want as many people to be influenced by you and as many people to want to share your posts and stuff like that. But you want these people to be quality. I would rather have 100 followers any day that support me than have 1,000 followers that don't. Excuse me.
Excellent. So Uday asked, any chance we can get the PowerPoint?
Available on after this as well. So I think Michelle can speak more to it than I can. But yeah, I do all of animal activism mentorship stuff is available on YouTube. And it is available there, I think, pretty quickly right after. So definitely follow on YouTube as well and interact with these kinds of things, because they are going to go further, because they're longer videos and they are usually obviously quite a lot of value.
Yeah, we will have this up on our YouTube channel in 24 to 48 hours following. So Tom was asking, animal research testing industry is a $220 billion a year industry. Universities make a fortune from this. How can we educate people to be aware of how those tax dollars are being used?
Yeah, so excellent question. So I actually worked with a group from Toronto Anti-Vivisection, TAVA. I think they're to.anti-vivisection on Instagram. We actually follow, like, we trained on Instagram and also on Canva, and they've been doing an excellent job. So they have a different strategy. Like, they focus a lot on community. So when they have, specifically when they organize protests and stuff, they don't actually just randomly do the protest and then go live from the protest. And, they're half, recording and stuff like that. They do very specific scheduled posts about it. They're using the right hashtags. So it is important to hashtag. So as an example, if we're looking at like cosmetic testing, I would want to be tagging cosmetic companies. I would want to be hashtagging things that people would be looking for. So if you're talking about, I'm using the wrong things because I am not a makeup person, people. Probably should have used a different example, but if L'Oreal is still testing on animals and stuff like that, then you want to, hashtag things that people would be like, people who are following L'Oreal, what hashtags they're following. So you can do that. You can actually go and creep someone on Instagram, for example, mostly on IG. On Facebook, you can't really do a lot, and Facebook is sort of dying anyway. But you can go and see what other people are following, and then what hashtags they're following. And you can see if, they might, hashtag Ulta Beauty. They might be following hashtag Beauty Tricks 101, whatever, things like that. And then try to use your hashtags to be specific and targeted to those individuals, right? Those are the people that are going to be using their products, and consumers have the biggest voice, right? If they stop, paying for things, or, if they stop putting in the demand, then the company is going to be like, what the heck, and want to change their ways, right? We vote with our dollars, right? And so definitely using the right hashtag, stuff like that, definitely tagging and pushing people to see the posts. Comment storms are very effective. They take a lot, like someone has to sit on there. So what we did with Rudzek, for example, is we did our comments at like 10 a.m. in the morning on a Sunday, like at 8 p.m. on a Friday, so that the social media person probably was out either sleeping, partying, to dinner with their family, and they're not able to log in and delete their posts right away. And so we were trying to do that to push that stuff. That is, a huge industry, of course. So I would definitely take a lot of time to plan it and be very specific in what I'm trying to do. Using your links in bio, I think, would be very helpful for information that is easy to get. So using an app or application like Linktree, that's my favorite, just because it's easy and it has less downtime. So using something like that, and then, having a few links that discuss this kind of information so people understand, what you're talking about. Always putting links in your stories. That is now available for everybody. Say, like, when you think about what you're posting, think about it in a marketing thing. What is it that you're talking about? Why are you talking about it should be the first thing. How you were going to make that change, and what you're talking about. Head over to that link in bio to take action on this. Here's what's happening to the animals. Like, that's, animals are suffering. We need your help. Do this. This is what they go through. Think about it from the sense of there's a famous entrepreneur called Simon Sinek, Simon Sinek. He has the unconventional way of advertising yourself and promoting a product, you are still promoting a product. You're promoting an idea. You're trying to sell that idea to individuals, right? Think about it from the marketing point. You always want to have someone have an action. Head over to the link in bio to learn more about it. Follow us so that you can learn more, things like that, because you want people to continue to interact with your information. But that is $1 million question. How do you take on a $20 billion company or $20 billion industry when they have all of the tools at their belt available and all the money to spend in the world on it, right?
Yeah,
You need
great
people.
question.
You need a lot of people. So create your supporter groups. And Tava does that. We have signal groups ready with more people that are saying that they will come to their events than I see in my regular day, because they do it well in advance, very planned, very strategically. I'm already assigned to be the social media person weeks in advance. And I'm the person who's responsible for going live on their account. And that's because they're very strategic in what they're doing and their stuff is working.
So Tanya wants to know, she says her IG is half in English and half in Russian.
Mm.
Do you recommend to just focus on one audience or continue to focus on both?
I think it's exceptional to have two audiences. I've considered it for a long time. I'm Romanian. I kind of speak Romanian. I shouldn't say I speak fully Romanian. I've lost my language a bit, but I'm missing a lot of the people. Like, I know there are Romanian people who want to be vegan, but their family, are dying when they don't have, pig for dinner. Like, that is a thing that, I think a lot of people would resonate with. There are videos that I posted about how my family interacted when we were talking about dairy. And that would have been very relevant to people who were Romanian. And they would have understood when we talk about taking cows to pasture, because a lot of people were farmers and owned farms with animals that lived on them. And I feel like I would have reached a much further audience. I'd be very careful about the hashtags that you use more than anything else. So what I would do is try to go and see how Ella Vegan does it, ELA Vegan. She does her posts in half German, half English. And so I would follow her. She has like 1.3 million followers now. I would follow her strategy. She's more food, but I think it would be good to see what she does. And then I would, put sort of like things that say, English to follow or Russian to follow or something like that. Not in your very first sentence, because you want your first sentence to be that captivating information. Remember, marketing, every time you do something, how do you feel about this? Or I'm so hurt, or something like that. Your first sentence on your caption is the first thing that gets fed in that newsfeed. So don't just put like Russian to follow every time, but you can do that, a little bit lower. If you have the time to be splitting 2 languages, go for it. Just be mindful of your 2,200 characters. You might want to post in English and say Russian in comments, stuff like that. But pick one and stick with it though. Like, don't put Russian today, English tomorrow, because as your follower, if I'm following you, that's going to be a little harder for me to follow, and I'll probably just get frustrated because I have ADD, and I'll just unfollow you because that's just the kind of person I am. It's horrible. But a lot of people will be like me. They'll just get flustered and then just be like, oh my God, I can't do this. Instead of going, oh, I understand why this person's doing that.
Okay, I'm going to go to Jose's question in the chat. We did a call storm to Neiman Marcus down in Texas. In Facebook, I posted a graphic with the 4 phone numbers to the 4 stores. I wrote, as you may know, the fur industry is collapsing as we know it. Please help call to ask Neiman Marcus to stop selling fur. Facebook brought the post down because they said it was misleading. What do you think happened?
The Neiman Marcus campaign was quite heavy. So I think a lot of people remember, like, if Neiman Marcus is as big as they are, and they are pretty big, they probably have more than one social media person or a marketing department. These people are likely going to be interacting with your things, to be reporting what you post, reporting your profile. Like, there are strategies to get someone not always, to trip them completely, but to at least be like a speed bump in your process. So it could have been that. It could have been, the specific word that triggered it. Who knows? We've done phone campaigns where we've posted the same thing. I wanted just to see what those words were again that were there. It said, I wanted to see it here with 4 numbers. I wrote, the fur industry is collapsing as we know it. Please help call to ask Neiman Marcus to stop, selling fur. Was there a photo that was used perhaps that was too graphic? If there's any blood, you have to be very careful with bloody stuff. It's hard because we all want to use it, but it's not always great to splatter. We do use it all the time. So we do make Talar, who's also in here as well, does amazing graphics where she'll just post. It's kind of like just a black background with phone numbers. That would be very useful. Maybe stay away from graphics, but who knows? Again, we don't own Facebook and they can choose whatever the heck they want sometimes, but I'm sorry that happened to you. Keep it simple, stupid, usually. Yeah.
Yes, social media is finicky, as you said.
Mm-hmm.
I go to Dana's question next. Dana's with us. On Instagram, I always put my hashtags in the comment section because my work said to. So that's what I've been doing on my animal rights Instagram also. Is that bad?
No, you can do it in your caption or your comment. So be careful when you put it in your comment. You don't want to be the second comment that goes in. You have to be the first comment. So don't post your stuff and then sit there going #vegan education, #workshop. Like, don't do that. You want to already have your hashtags pre-written in something like a Google Keep, or what I used to do is send my ex-husband all my messages, all my WhatsApp messages with all the hashtags so that I can copy really easily from my desktop over to my phone really quickly. I now do the same thing to my friends on Signal. I'll usually just send all the hashtags in a separate message and then do that. You have to be the first comment with the hashtags or your hashtags will not work at all. And then if not, then put it in your caption and stuff like that. Either way, your hashtags will be used. The only thing I ask is not to do half in one and half in the other. Sometimes people go, #happy Monday, everyone. I'm in #Mexico today, blah, blah, blah. Do not do that. Either write out your stuff and put your hashtags in your comment, or use your hashtags throughout your caption and avoid the comment. But either one will be fine.
Good answer, right, Dana? Okay, so Jenny McQueen had a question here. Are there any accounts you follow or websites for social media tips?
Yes, many. I follow them from my alias account so that they don't know who I am. So I am going to share a few of my favorites that have so far shared information that have mostly worked. So I say this with carefully. The things that people share and tell you to do may not always work entirely for you. So as someone, like, for example, I do about, generally speaking, probably between 10 and 30 hours now of research a month on, the changes on social media, incoming things that are going to affect people, stuff like that, because I need to know, obviously, and mitigate that for clients, because I don't want to be doing, planning social media calendars 3 months in advance and then realizing that I shouldn't be posting what I'm posting about. So I'll give you an example. So one of my favorites is Vanessa Lau. She's mostly focused on coaches, but her feedback and her information on how to use Instagram specifically is pretty good. Not all of the strategies that she did worked. So what I did is everything that I've learned from other people, I've actually tried to apply and see what happens. So nothing that I tell you hasn't been tested, because I need to make sure that I'm correct. So I tested out on people's profiles, on profiles that I don't want to, state that I'm the author of, but use and stuff like that to be testing all of these. And then the other one that is actually really good without the hashtags, so do not follow her hashtags ever, is Carla Biesinger. Singer, Carla with a C. So those two people are actually individuals who seem to be doing most of their work pretty good. A great tool is later.com. You can actually use later.com to actually plan your posts. They're the only application that's actually approved for Instagram. But what I like about it is even if you create an account and not use it, they send these amazing blogs out that talk about using Instagram and using social media. Everyone's very much heavily focusing on Instagram, but a lot of the social media stuff, again, is transferable. But they send out these really good blog posts that talk about how you should be using social media for your benefit. And I find their blogs to be pretty good. Again, everything they say, I always test it out because it's always a human behind his blog post and I don't trust any humans. So I have to do my homework first. But I have to do that myself. So if you are doing the same thing, just make sure that you don't just take that stuff as like, you know, written in stone information. Be careful, obviously, when you're, you know, following someone like Vanessa Lau or Carla, is that these individuals are specifically for certain people. So like Vanessa Lau focuses on coaches. That doesn't mean that what you're going to be doing on your stuff is going to be coach specific, right? Like you're not a coach, you are an animal rights activist, so your stuff might apply a little bit differently. So take everything with a grain of salt, and then, you know, apply things slowly and then see if they're actually working. Or ask me.
I don't know if you need to repeat those, but if someone could put those resources in the chat, that would be appreciated. And we're actually going to, I mean, we could go much longer here, but we're going to probably need to wrap up. So then, you know, do you have any final words? And do you want to tell folks just a teaser about part 2 to this program, which is on Thursday, April 7th, I believe?
Yes. Absolutely. So in terms of my last words, again, I'm going to emphasize, do not try to apply everything that I said today and start everything right away. Just take your time. Don't get overwhelmed. This isn't meant to be a boot camp, even though I'm sure some people may have felt it. I really cut back on the information from my previous webinars, and focused more on strategy than specifics. There are things that you need to learn well in advance, like the 4+ words, or saving, sharing, commenting, and liking, and in that specific order is best, like stuff like that. But those things are a little more known. So I wanted to make sure I was more on strategy, because I think our animal rights community needs that more. Like, your save won't matter if you don't provide value in your stuff anyway, kind of thing, like that kind of stuff. For April 7th, it is probably going to be a little bit more boot campy. So I want to actually talk about that value a little bit more. So things like polls and using your stories to actually benefit you and get pushed to more people. You know, that marketing standpoint of how we post things and stuff like that. And I really want to focus on Instagram Reels, because that's where the world is going. You know, you may not be comfortable in front of a video now, but you better be by April 8th. So, because after I give you the tools, I want you to be able to go on an Instagram Reel. You know, my client from I Love Balance, Michelle Labrosse, who's also a mentor with Animal Activism Mentorship. She has her own membership, like a workout and meditation community through her Instagram, I Love Balance. Ever since she started doing reels and getting, like, she got comfortable pretty quickly on videos, and we pushed that quite heavily. And sometimes her reels are just funny things, but she gets on video. And since August, she has doubled and more in followers. And they're quality followers. They're people who actually want to interact with her. So she may not have a lot of followers, but she has quality people who are interested in what she has to say. So that's the kind of stuff that you want to be happening with, to your things. And Instagram Reels are playing a huge role. And people like Vegan Zynga are basically just living inside of Reels now.
So the tip in there is that humor gains followers, right?
Oh yeah.
Humor is the best leverage we can
Yeah.
use. Work some humor in there. People love
Yeah.
that, brings the joy
Get a
and the
reaction.
happiness.
It's all about reaction. It's all about, I'm happy, I love this, oh my God, I can't believe it, I'm shocked, I'm sad, oh my God, I'm changing my life. Like, get a reaction out of someone. You want them to chuckle or cry or whatever you want, or gasp or whatever, but when you're posting, you want someone to want to interact with you for some reason, including the trolls. Piss some people off if you have to.
So I want everyone in the workshop still now to put their Instagram handles in the chat so we can follow
Yes.
one another, of course.
And we have the giveaway that I wanted to make sure I actually posted as well. So I have a little sign up just because I wanted to make it as easy as possible for people to do. So there is a link that I'm posting right now under Kasia's Instagram. I'm sorry, Kasia, I was trying to go fast. But that link is, if you just sign up, I just get your email and your information, and also your Instagram handle. And I can actually go in and put that, and then by tomorrow I will pick someone who can join me on a Canva course to learn how to do some designs.
Okay. So those are your final words, yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Ina, so much. This has been incredibly amazing. And I just want to reiterate and repeat the date of Ina's next workshop is Thursday, April 7th. As always, you'll find all of our workshops posted on our page and in our group. And another workshop we have coming up in March is on Thursday, March 17th. It's at 1 p.m. in the afternoon, Eastern Standard Time, which is an unusual start time. But we're hosting For the Love of Chickens, From Exploitation to Liberation, with author Karen Davis of United Poultry Concerns, which I love her, and that will really be amazing. And we have so many more workshops regularly scheduled to come. So please follow us. Obviously, we don't even have to say this, but follow AAM and Farm as well on social media. Visit our website, animalactivismmentorship.com. Again, this recording will be uploaded to our YouTube channel, which you can find just looking up Animal Activism Mentorship on YouTube. And if you want to post in the chat any final takeaways that you're going to implement right away after this workshop, so much wisdom, don't let it go to waste. And thank you all so much for being here. Thank you, Trey, for working the back end. Thank you, Ina, for all of your experience and expertise. Thank you for being a mentor. Thank you to all our mentors and mentees who are with us. And again, if you're interested in becoming a mentor or mentee, or just want to get more involved with AAM, go to our website, reach out to any one of us who are here tonight as well. And until next time, stay strong and live vegan, everyone.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.